Felix here, and good morning to you to this pre-market live. We've got tons in store today. We're looking at why is Jay Powell renominated and why does the market not love it? We're looking at NIO flying. We're looking at Xpeng flying. We're looking at Palantir crashing quite extraordinarily. And of course, everything else in between, politics, what to invest in now that inflation is here and that interest rate rises seem more likely, and much, much more. I have also discovered it was Black Friday this week. It is. So here we go. Here is our Black Friday special offer. Any course bundle, 50% off. And that'll only ever happen one time per year. So this is your one chance until Black Friday. felixfriends.org/Black Friday. I've also got lots of free stuff for you here. Macquarie's, a bank I used to work for, top 16 growth picks. So if you're only doing one thing today, get your hands on that list. felixfriends.org/top 16. It's entirely free. I make these benchmarks to give you an insight into some new ideas and some new stocks. So go and check that out. Now, what's happening here pre-market? Well, we are down ever so slightly on the Nasdaq, 0.1%. S&P and Dow Jones ever so slightly in the green. Orange juice is up, which is always very important to most all of you. I appreciate that. And in terms of stocks, let me show you the... I'll hide this little banner up here for a moment. I show you the what's up. Xpeng, 4.75%. Decent earnings, missed the earnings estimate, but over-delivered in terms of cars, and people were happy with that. Lucid's up. NIO is up to $42, and we'll talk about that. We've got some exciting headlines out on NIO. GGPI, that's the Polestar, is up further, and a lot of the market looking kind of green. What's looking red down here? Nothing majorly. MP, Crowd, Peloton a bit, sort of Microsoft, Facebook just a touch, but really nothing particularly to worry about. So looking like a pretty decent start to the day. Tesla at 1171 at the moment, which just seems bonkers. And as I said, Palantir is up to 2075, up 0.5 percentage point. So hopefully this 2050 is actually going to hold here. Now, Citi. This is a headline. The sort of headline I like. Citi is saying on NIO it's oversold and maintaining their 87 United States dollar price target, which is really quite something. Citi analyst Jeff Chung said NIO's weakness last week was largely due to the companies at the market offering because they offered 53 million extra ADSs. However, there are several positive catalysts, including NIO Day mid-December, which is likely when we will know the price of the new ET5 model. And he said they have strong product cycle for 2022, including 3 new models, 3 facelifts, and they'll gain further market share. And there we have it. He's looking pretty excited. So why did NIO fly yesterday? Because... And Desmond says, wow, that's more than double. Indeed, that's more than double the present NIO share price. So Citi, very, very bullish. We've had this confirmation of something that we already know, because if you've been following me for a while, we've known this actually since, I think, February or January this year, when NIO announced it. They always said, look, we're going to start sales in January. We're going to start deliveries in March. And they've just confirmed that again. Apparently, they're going to get a couple of hundred deliveries in March, and then real delivery numbers will kick in Q2 in April onwards. And the market's like, oh my God, that's exciting. Which goes to show how much of the market's asleep sometimes. But it's exciting. I mean, here it is, the ET7. People are excited by it, and that seems to be a good thing. So we're getting a bit of momentum back in here into the stock, which has just been beaten up around the whole. I mean, Evergrande really dragged it down a lot, which has literally zero to do with any of that. Anthony Soto today says he's from Mars and it's cold over there. It's cold over here too, actually. I went on a hike today, which was lovely, but it really is quite chilly here in Hong Kong by Hong Kong standards. You think there's a Christmassy mood here? Yeah, the whole scarf and everything. It's about 13 degrees Celsius here. I have no idea what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's not enough. That's all I know. My cats are grumpily sitting on hot water bottles going, what's this all about? I want to move. And that's what happens here in the winter when we have no central heating at all and we just sort of shiver away. Now, X-Bank's earnings were not great. Losses 27 cents. We were expecting 18 cents. But what we're excited about, 25,666 units delivered in the quarter, and that's higher than the guidance of 25,000 vehicles. And that's what they are excited. Yeah, that's basically what the market's excited about with that one. And that'll also, I think, help buoy NIO somewhat. Now, we need to talk about Jay Powell. He's got renominated, not a huge surprise. All presidents have always renominated the Fed chair, irrespective of politics, with one exception. That exception was Donald J. Trump. He didn't. He put his own man in the job, who's Jay Powell. So basically, Biden is following that long-standing precedent and just saying, look, this is bipartisan and so on. So Jay Powell is going to get renominated. Now, why does the market not love that? Why are bond yields up a little bit? Let me just see where they are. They're 165 now. We were in the 140s earlier this month, right? So there is quite a jump here because he is seen, and believe it or not, the man who printed 30% of all United States dollars, I don't know why I keep saying United States dollars, I just enjoy it, all US dollars in existence in the last year is apparently a tougher nut than his potential replacement. Which is hard to believe because I always thought he was the softest man in the world. Apparently he isn't. Apparently there are fluffier people in Washington, and people therefore think he's going to raise interest rates a bit more. Now, possibly because he's been telling us that inflation is transitory, even when it goes to like 7 or 8%, he's going to have to actually make it transitory. So he might be a little bit now be changing his tune and becoming a bit more aggressive on the interest rate hikes and the tapering. So if you look at the data, and I tweeted that, I didn't tweet that, I put it on our Discord yesterday, if I can find it somewhere. Yeah, okay. Here I read, traders have been conditioned to believe equities perform poorly when the Fed hikes rates. But the S&P 500 has only ever had 2 losing years in the last 30 when the central bank was lifting rates. It's very unusual to see US large clubs decline when the Fed is raising rates. And the only time that occurred was basically when they overdo it. So generally speaking, the S&P does quite well and is pretty happy, pretty excited about interest rates going up. Tech stocks, not quite so much. But I don't think it's going to have a massive impact. I think, again, we have this sort of, we know it. If we know it, it's sort of priced in. Do you want to know how many cars NIO sold in Norway today? Let me show you. One ES8, 56 so far this month, 97 this year. So not bad. I'd say 56 so far this year. We're only on the, 20 something, 23rd. Desmond says, Brainerd is a believer of MMT. That's the modern monetary theory, Calvin. That's what that nonsense stands for. It basically throws out all old monetarist ideas. If you were an economist like me and you suffered through studying economics, then your heads were filled with these ideas that, for example, we have boom and bust cycles, and that you basically raise interest rates and lower interest rates, and they've replaced it with this MMT thing, which basically means just print more money. And when the economy needs a little bit more support, you just print more money and you can keep interest rates at pretty much zero forever. And it doesn't cause inflation, apparently. And there's nothing wrong with the debt either, because debt is sustainable because interest rates are at zero. That's the modern monetary theory in a nutshell, which is a really strange one, really. MoonPay has soared to 3.4 billion valuation. This is how they describe themselves, how they pitch it. The PayPal for crypto. They just raised $500 million in their latest round of private equity funding. So interesting one, actually. I think one to watch, one to follow, I would say. Now, what has Europe worried today? Well, coronavirus, the fourth wave. Do you think in like it'll be 2032 and we'll be like, this is the 38th COVID wave? We're still talking about it. People are still locked down in Lapland or something. I hope not. But anyway, Austria and Germany is locking down again, which could have impacts on the economy. Good for Amazon, I suppose, for the Christmas business. Anthony, thank you very much for sharing that. A German BMW engineer drove the NIO ES8 and gave outstanding reviews. You can search the video. I will do that. Thank you. We've had some really tremendous press coverage in Germany. There is the German Automobile Club called ADAC has something like 30 million members. There are only 80 million Germans, including all the old people and the babies. So an insanely powerful organization, and they gave NIO a glowing review. So NIO is doing something really good there in terms of their PR. And Philip saying Germany not looking good. COVID numbers are definitely not looking good there. That is very true, and that could therefore also continue onwards a bit. We have some banking analysts from, who was it? I can't remember who it was. Anyway, they're saying they are a little bit worried about inflation, and they are basically saying, have a look at consumer staples because they've lagged the market. Let me show you a chart here. Can you see that on the screen? This is the year-to-date return. So energy up 54%, financials 34%, IT 27%, and so on. S&P overall up 25%, just marvelous. Consumer staples only up 9%. So why are consumer staples generally considered inflation-proof? Because they have pretty good moats. They have sticky customers. People buy that stuff come what may, right? So you kind of, your Gillette razor or something like that, you can't really live without it. I mean, eventually it'll just start to hurt when you use one that's too old. So you go out and buy another one. So consumer staples might have a bit of an upside here as they've underperformed the market quite a bit. And I think I'll be buying some more of those. Now, what's going on the politics side? Well, it's really all about Jay Powell. Democrats are not very happy. At least some of them are not very happy because he's, reappointed Trump's nominee. And some people on the Democratic aisle are basically saying he's not that tough on the financial industry. Well, whoever was. So, yeah, that's sort of a little bit of noise there. And then, of course, lots of other noise, Rittenhouse and so on. We're not going to go into that too much, but anyway, yeah, there we go. So what's the market doing? Let me show you here. Pre-market live. Xpeng up still 4%. GGPI up 1.5%. Bank of America, Tesla, PDD, Tiger, NIO, JP Morgan, Lucid, they're all up about 1%. Palantir up 0.5%. And yeah, they're looking like a fairly evenly balanced morning today. So again, the market absorbed the Jay Powell news, went a bit like, whoops, how about that? And they did it over here in the bond market, but it's only up 1.1%. So remember, we were at 180 earlier this year when everybody was freaking out. So actually, the market's pretty calm. Okay, let me see here. Rudy, thank you very much for shouting that out. Apparently, China is summoning Alibaba and Baidu's cloud unit to urge them to prevent telecom fraud. Okay. Suppose a lot of the data goes through their clouds. Maybe they could put in some sort of filter there to spot it. Howard is sharing, thank you very much. The Polestar 2 is featured on BBC's Top Gear on Sunday. It was, and it came over very well. Excellent. That's very good. Again, another masterstroke of getting the car out there in the right in front of the right people, and that's kind of what I like to see. To me, that's good management execution because you don't get your car on Top Gear by accident, right? Someone's doing something about that. Desmond says Dollar Tree says their new pricing is 125. I mean, I always thought the dollar shop thing was a bit of a strange one. Eventually, inflation was going to get you, weren't they? Jack's excited about NIO, which I appreciate. Did I miss any question? Do repeat them, please. I might just miss them. John wants to know what trade options you can use from the EU. Okay, let me show you that here in our options handbook. This is the handbook from our master options program, and I keep in there a list of popular options brokers. So it depends a little bit on where you are, but let me just show it to you here on screen. So in Europe, IG is popular. In Germany, for example, people are using Lynx brokers with a Y, also for demo accounts. Again, interactive brokers, Saxo is available. There are plenty. So, but if you want to know a specific one, tell me what country you're in, and I'll give you one. Or just drop me a line, John, and I'll get back to you on that. Chris says no central heating. Yeah, you look in Hong Kong, it's subtropical. It's basically the climate of Florida. So, 10, 11 months of the year, we are roasting in lots of sunshine. And for about 4 weeks of the year, we are basically shivering because, nobody builds in any heating. It's basically the way it is. Actually, I mean, we do have these air cons. You can turn them on to heat, and then it'll dry you and shrivel you up into a raisin within about 30 minutes, and you turn it off, and about 30 minutes later, it's freezing again. So I don't really bother. I use cats, dogs, and hot water bottles to keep myself warm. That seems much more effective and, climate neutral. If you haven't yet downloaded the top 16 growth stocks here from Macquarie, the Macquarie fund in the US, which is an interesting list, do. It's free. Why wouldn't you? felixfriends.org/top 16. So check that out and shout out if you have any questions. Doggy says, how is Polestar managing to get their new car out? Well, this car has actually been out for a while, and they are essentially piggybacking on the Volvo infrastructure. That's basically how they're doing it. That's how they're going to start manufacturing the Polestar 3 in the US next year. So they have that advantage there of being part of that kind of family of companies. So that's really helping them out. You can basically order a Polestar in a lot of countries in the world, and they'll deliver you one, just because they can piggyback onto Volvo deliveries. Jack, you're in law school in the UK, the professional responsibility exam. I'm not sure I had that in my day. I'm not sure there was any professional responsibility. So you're doing the, what is that? The LPC or something like that. Is that what you're doing, Jack? Niels is saying, are Visa and Amazon in talks regarding the Visa UK card? That's an interesting one. Basically, Amazon said, look, we're not going to use Visa credit cards in the UK. Visa debit cards are still possible, which a lot of people in the UK have a Visa debit card as part of their bank debit card. What is that really all about? I think it's a negotiating ploy by Amazon to squeeze Visa and MasterCard and everybody else. From what I've read, analysts don't think it'll have any revenue or profitability impact for Visa because the amounts are just not that substantial. But, it is sort of somewhere down the line, there might be a point when credit cards become obsolete. I don't think we're anywhere near that, but I think it might come at some point down the road. So Visa, MasterCard need to watch the whole crypto space and blockchain space to see whether they are, still going to be relevant here. John's asking, what's the difference between the master stocks course and the build a 7-figure portfolio course? So thanks for the question on our programs here. The master stocks course is I'd say the more introductory level. It's still certainly an intermediate course, whereas the 7-figure portfolio sort of builds on that. It kind of assumes to some extent that you have some knowledge of stock investing and then aims to help you build a portfolio of assets that you manage, that you rebalance, that you backtest, that you run just like, Kathy Woods would, without all the without being 100% crazy, disruptive kind of an investor. So it kind of takes it to the next level. I'd say that's the way it is. In terms of logic, Master Stocks is sort of, in a sense, one step below the 7-figure portfolio course. Philip saying, what's happening with PayPal? Well, I think they're just not really catching a break here with the whole sentiment story that got kicked off by the non-purchase of Pinterest, right? So what are we seeing? Well, it's kind of a bizarre one, isn't it? We've dropped. Well, we closed the day at our support from July, which was what was that? 2055. We closed at 2065, just a little bit above it, which is good. So you can see the candle here. It dropped quite a lot lower, but it then managed to close at pretty much exactly or slightly above our remaining support level here. So to me, fundamentally, nothing's really changed in the business. So I to me, think this is one of those crazy things. But then look at the chart. Look at the stock chart of PayPal. It is a fairly erratic one. It has these pretty extreme movements down here. Can you see that? It's not like this has never happened before. It also happened up here. It happened up there. It happened up here. So it's not like this is completely news to us. And to me, whenever we are typically below the 100-day line, I like to buy. And in fact, we are now below, I think, the 300-day line. Because if I buy PayPal at, these price levels here, let me see if I can change the color of that. At these purple points here, I'm paying a lot less for PayPal than if I'm doing it at the top. But then I've been buying PayPal for years. So for me, it doesn't, I don't see a fundamental change here. So for me, I'm actually fairly happy with this. It just means the stock I like to buy every single month becomes a little bit cheaper. Jack, oh, you're studying in the US. Okay, that's why I couldn't follow your law school exams there. Well, I wish you all the best. I think really preparation, lots of sleep. That's really the way to go. Try not to drink anything too caffeinated, messes with your head before exams. Anthony is saying, do you think the EV bubble is going to burst and it's getting flooded? I think it's just starting. Look at the EV penetration in the US and look how many cars they're being bought, and think that everybody who's driving a gas guzzler will at some point all be buying cars. So there will be this massive spike in replacements of cars that'll happen. So I think there's lots of space for lots of brands. Half of them will fail, maybe a little bit more. So really only the best capitalized, the ones with the best investor backing will continue. And I think that's really what I would look at, is who's behind it and how deep are their pockets. I think that's really it's going to help them a great deal, because without that, it's an expensive process. There will be recalls, there will be failures, there will be deaths, there will be problems. So therefore, deep pockets is the way to go. And that's why NIO now has, 8-9 billion on the books, because they kind of realized that. Now, Joe Howard is shouting out here, or not shouting out, but politely mentioning, is had a bit of a pullback, but it also had a bit of a crazy rally up, right? But now it's at 825. That's really cheap. Well, I say cheap. I should always say, before I say such things, it's not financial advice, it's entertainment only. So just because I think it's cheap, I'm just surprised because it's below the $8 mark. At what price did they list? They listed at $10, right? Yeah, like pretty much all SPACs out there. So why the nothing really happened? So it's just being shorted or something? Interesting. Tempting, actually. Thanks for throwing that out there, Howard. I might have to be be tempted by that. 27.5% down. Did I miss something on Wejo? Is there something I should know? Okay. News past 24 hours. Not really. Investor place. This is one of these automated ones. Where it's top losers. Nope. No idea. Has anyone checked out what the lockup period is on Wejo? That might be something worth looking into. Philip is saying he's wondering why PayPal is falling. Okay, let me have a look at our dark pool indicator here. Here we go. Yeah, it seems like a pretty solid buy. Okay, not all institutions trades are happening in dark pools, right? There is lots of institutions who also trade on the New York Stock Exchange. So it isn't that this down here is all institutional money ever. It's just an indicator, as the bigger trades tend to happen in dark pools. It's also not a perfect indicator. Like all indicators are imperfect. But yeah, it is what is surprising here. So we have 3 days in a row of increasing volume as we continue to fall, which sort of indicates that we might have some more falling to do. So people are really, really bagging on PayPal here. I mean, it's essentially back now to what? November 2021. So it's actually down year on this year. So it's massively underperformed the S&P or the NASDAQ, which is surprising because the numbers are pretty good. I mean, my risk profile and my tolerance is very different from yours, or it might be very different from yours. So for me, I don't see a fundamental change here. I look at earnings and I see good stuff. So, you know, earnings were up 3%. So I don't really see much of an issue there. Oh, they're going to make sure lawyers stay ethical, but that'll ruin the business, won't it? Edwin wants to buy IWY. What's an IWY? IWY. Russell Top 200 Growth Index funds. Okay, it's probably going to give you a bit more volatility. If we compare that to SPY, look, I don't particularly love these large, very large ETF indices because, you know, there aren't 500 great companies on the S&P. There just aren't. They're like 30 great ones, 470 average ones. But how have these two performed? Well, pretty similarly, right? I don't know how far back we can go here, but 2011 seems to be the beginning of my data here. So sure, they have outperformed, but not that much. I mean, yeah, 200%, still a lot, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna continue that way. And if we're gonna look at, say, since 2020, difference is still 30%. What about 2021? Yeah, a little bit more, 6% more than the S&P. I mean, you might say it's a bit of diversification. Have a look at the overlap between the two. What are the top 200 Russell top 200 stocks, growth stocks? Really, I would look at those. I would look at the top 10, at least on that list, and decide whether those were fundamentally better than the top 10 S&P 500 stocks. There's also there are ETFs like VOOG, for example, which are S&P 500 growth stocks. There are other competing ETFs. I've just typed it into the chat here, but yeah, you can have a look at those as well. Mr. Fischer says, yes, I do hold Visa. I absolutely do in my core portfolio. No, I think it's a brilliant stock. I mean, just like MasterCard, near 100% operating margins, just a brilliant business. I'm not saying that their business is under threat right here, right now. What I'm saying is that the whole Amazon thing doesn't seem to impact their earnings at all. But they have to stay relevant. I mean, I do everything with credit cards, as I think do most people. The question is, will we at some point, instead of a credit card, use an app and just scan something or touch something or, whatever? And isn't there a possibility that, say, a PayPal or a SoFi or an Apple or a Facebook could have a payment mechanism that would just replace the credit card? There are already some that take money directly from your bank accounts and could therefore do it at lower cost. That's what I'm saying. I just think it's like something in the back of my mind. I'm thinking, will the largest financial institution in the world, which is what Visa card is, will they be smart with this and will they get on board? Unter is looking at Palantir. Absolutely, we can pull that stock up. We haven't done that yet, actually. So thanks for showing that out there. Let me get rid of the S&P 500 here. Actually, no, we did look at Palantir, did we? Oh, yeah, I guess. I just draw a lot of pictures, don't I? So I'm wondering why I think that. Okay, let me just delete absolutely everything here. So what have we got on Palantir? Well, we closed. I'll go a little bit bigger in for you here. We essentially closed yesterday and starting today slightly below our support levels from August. And that's not marvelous. We kind of want to keep that. You kind of want to keep that 2050 support line here. That's really the only real support we have in the short term. Otherwise, there is support down here at 17. So from a technical point of view, this doesn't look beautiful. This does not look brilliant. We had also on the sell-off here, we were selling off and volume was flattening off down here. Less volume means you're coming towards the end of a sell-off. But now we are rallying up again here. So that's slightly concerning in terms of volume because that could give us a bit more oomph to sell off. My dark pool indicator down here seems to indicate more sell-offs by institutions continuously. So not brilliant is the professional assessment here. We are, however, very oversold. I suppose that's the silver lining down here. So below this dashed line, you're oversold, and we are way below that. When was the last time we were that low? So let me just put a line in here and see the last time we were that low was in late September, early October, when we had the $23 mark up here. So we are lower price points as oversold as there, which isn't really great. It sort of indicates a momentum downtrend here. And Unter, you're quite right. I was talking about PayPal earlier, and I was looking at the Palantir chart. So everything I said then applies to Palantir. Thank you very much. So you guys spotted that a little bit before I did, but thank you very much. Just Listen says, what's the best way to differentiate between buying the dip and trying to catch a falling knife? So the whole buying the dip expression is, I loathe it almost as much as conviction stocks because both mislead. So if you fundamentally like the Palantir stock, you like the numbers, you like the product, you like management, and you have a long-term horizon, I'd say 5 to 10 years plus, a very good strategy for buying stocks is then to add a little bit of that same stock every month on the first of the month. And, you put $50 into it or $5,000 into it or whatever it is, depending on your portfolio diversification. And therefore, at times you'll be buying the dip and at times you'll be buying the peaks and you average out and you don't care. So that's really like what I think works best for most people, just because there's less emotions in there, less distractions and less kind of worries. Just first of the month, I buy these 10 stocks or this ETF or whatever, and then I'm done. If you want to buy cheaper, there are technical analysis methods we can use. One of the simplest ones is to have a 100-day moving average line in here, which is what I typically do, and then to buy the stock only when it's below the 100-day moving average line, which gets you in cheaper than above the 100-day moving average line. Very, very simple. And then some people, of course, swing trade. So they buy down here and they sell somewhere up there. Now, nobody ever catches the tops and the bottoms of the market. So don't try it. It's never going to work. You just never get there. So therefore, I wouldn't worry about it. So for me, it would be more like, I buy here, I buy here, I buy here, I buy sort of regularly. In that way, I average out. That might be one strategy. Or for me, when I look at kind of growth stocks, I try to be a little bit more timely about it. So I sort of go, okay, this has fallen below the 100-day moving average line. So I'll probably buy a bit here, which I did. And then maybe I bought a bit there. Maybe I bought a bit somewhere down here. Occasionally, I might get lucky. I might pick up a bit down here. But most of the time, I'll miss the bottom of the market. Doesn't worry me one little bit because nobody knows where the bottom of the market ever is or the top. If they did, they'd be richer than the Fed. So I wouldn't get overly concerned with that. And then you can, of course, refine that strategy with more technical analysis, which is coming back to John's earlier question on the master stocks, for example. It's got tons of technical analysis in it and how to read charts and these kind of things. And we don't do that in the 7-figure portfolio program because we sort of assume a little bit of knowledge there. Jack Ma is in the Cayman Islands. Brilliant. Just listen, I appreciate the question. Thank you very much for that. And you are all completely right. I was looking at Palantir. I wasn't looking at PayPal. So I think I owe it to you to actually look at PayPal because I was talking about that. And it just, both stocks have sold off a lot. So they look somewhat similar here. So this particular sell-off for PayPal is, of course, much worse than most sell-offs we've had. The only other really big one we had was in February when it also came tumbling down quite a bit. When we are, it's visually quite easy to see falling quite a lot more than we were then. We are essentially at price levels again from November last year. So no gains at all for that stock. And it's way, way, way below its 100-day moving average line. I mean, there is, $60 in between that, and it's still falling ever so slightly here. Having said that, it does look to me like institutions are loading up the boat because it's just, I think the fundamentals look good. If you want to know a little bit more about fundamentals, do one thing. Go to felixfriends.org/top16. Download those top 16 growth stocks from Macquarie Investment Bank and see how do fundamentals make an impact on stock performance? And you can look at the key metrics that I use to look at stocks. So check that out. John, yes, if you bundle the master stocks and the 7-figure, you kind of get yourself 2 steps. Absolutely. So you kind of get what you need to know, in my opinion, and then what takes you really one step further to being a long-term investor who really manages his portfolio like a pro. So yeah, check that out. So what John's talking about here is that it's Black Friday. And for the marvel of Black Friday, we have all of our course bundles on sale until Friday, 50% off. And that is such a big discount. I will only do that once a year. So if you want to take advantage of that, if you click on that link up there, you get to this website. The coupon code is Black Friday. It tells you that here on the website. And then you can see all the programs. And I've crossed out the prices and given you the discounted ones so you can see what you can get your hands on here. So check that out if you are interested in taking your financial education to another level. What's the long-term outlook for the stock market? Well, I don't think anything's really changed. I think that's really the takeaway from this is that, is he hawkish? Is he really tough on financial markets? He has printed 30% of all US dollars in existence in the last 12 months, or maybe 25 or something like that. Some insane number. So more than a quarter of all US dollars in existence were created in the last 12 months by this chap. So he is as soft on financial markets as anyone I've ever come across, anyone who's ever lived. So will he tank the markets now to make his transitory statements come true? I doubt it. Will we get some interest rate rises next year? Yeah, quite possibly. But interest rate rises don't really tank the market. It's the over tightening, like the Greenspan stuff he was doing. That's what does it. But going up 0.25% here or there doesn't really make much difference because we're basically at zero interest rates. So I don't think it has a huge impact here. Just Listen says, more questions have been answered than we have thumbs up. Well, I appreciate you saying that. Smash the like button, destroy it. And it's also good for where are our goats? What happened to our goats? Here we go. There we go. Our goats are back. I missed our goats. You see, if you do smash that button, our goats get a cent donation. Over $2,000 so far we've sent there. So each month we sent them money. I sent them money. You don't. You just have to smash the like button. What's your outlook on the China market 2022? It's a tough one to call. We don't really know the severity of, COVID impacts, the supply chain issues, and all that sort of stuff. I don't know if we are going to get that rebound quickly or if it's going to take some more time as the regulatory overhaul continues. So it's kind of a tough one. Now, I don't think we're going to get the great big crash and the world will come to an end. People have been saying that about Evergrande and so on for some time. Hasn't happened. I think it's very unlikely to happen. We are definitely seeing a bit of a decoupling of these two great economies, the US and China, and that has some impact on the world economy for sure. It's not as great for markets as if they were working together because it pushes costs up. It's inflationary for one. So I'm kind of moderate on the market. I wouldn't be throwing tons of money at it at the moment because there are a lot of uncertainties there. So I'd rather miss a little bit of a rally and then go more bullishly into it. And I'll be very specific with stock picks. And I'd kind of be doing that as well into the US markets, going into next year. I think being more stock specific, those stocks with the greatest underlying numbers and stories and management, I think will do better. Unta is talking about SoFi here. Good earnings. Bank charter on the way. Dropped more than 20% since earnings. Yeah, look, it's a volatile stock. I think if you want to understand a little bit more about it, I did let me show it to you. I did a video. Here we go. Here we go. You see that on my channel there? This black thumbnail with the handsome looking man. That's him. SoFi CEO live interview. It's a really interesting one. I put out the entire thing completely unedited. He speaks for, I think, 30 minutes. Very eloquently on the strategy and exactly what they're doing and why they're doing it. I would watch that, and then you can kind of decide for yourself because it's from the horse's mouth. It's not from somebody who's commenting on it. What you think of their plans and whether you are with them for the long haul or not. John says Black Friday code doesn't work on the website. Really? Okay, so say what bundle are you looking at? You were saying you wanted the what did you want? Okay, say we click on this one. Click on enroll now. Click on enroll now. Here we go. Loading. Add coupon code Black Friday in one word. Apply. Okay, let me fix that. That should work. That should work. So thanks for letting me know. I don't know why that isn't working. One moment. Settings. Okay, sorry guys, talk amongst yourselves for a second. I'm just fixing some IT here. So the coupon is apparently not working. It says it should work. Okay, let me add another one here. All bundles. Okay, I know why that isn't working. Okay, John, I'll fix that straight away. Okay, I'll fix that for you, and I will. I'll drop you a quick message as well as soon as I've done that. I actually totally understand why that isn't working. It'll only be bundle 1 and 2 will have that issue. Everything else will work. So let me just create these little bundles here. 50% off for you, and it's Black Friday. Save. Got another one. Okay. If you are on bundle 1, it'll now work, and I'll also fix it for bundle 2 for you as well. We shout out some more questions. I will answer them. I seem distracted, but I'll be there in about 15 seconds. Has anybody given up on Barber yet? I haven't given up on Barber. No, it's just that it's not fun, right? Being the one who says, well, I hold for the long run is usually not much fun when things are going against you. And I think that's really it's a difficult thing to do. It is a difficult thing to do. So yeah. Okay, coupons are working. So thanks for shouting that out there. Doja, you just bought Barber for the first time. Interesting. Okay, you probably have one of the lowest price points in your portfolio for Barber than anybody there. We've been suffering for a year with Barber now. We have indeed. John, what's the estimated tax during checkup? Depends on where you live. Sadly, most countries in the world levy a digital service tax, a VAT, which I cannot control. You have to take that up with your inland revenue. If you have a VAT number, if you have a company or something, you can bill it through that. You can get around it legally, but that's pretty much the only way you can do that. Chris, thanks for smashing the like button. The goats do need Thanksgiving dinners too. Absolutely. What's everyone planning for Thanksgiving? Anything exciting? And let me see what other questions here. Good time to buy Barber. Buy boatloads, says Elon Tusk. Not Elon, to be confused with Elon Musk. John, I don't know whether you can use a VPN on that. You have to do what you want to do. Basically, it's nothing to do with me. I don't get the tax, so it's nothing to do with me. But if you can do whatever you want to do. The market is indeed closed on Thursday. Absolutely. What's going on with Xpeng? Xpeng have delivered 25,666 cars, which is 666 cars more than we thought they would, and the market likes it. So it's flying. It's an overreaction. They actually missed earnings, so it is just one of these overreactions. Just like TAL is up 13%. I'm so glad I stopped shorting that. That was a smart decision. Take money when it's on the table. Don't hope for more with those kind of short-term bets. Lucid's up. Education stocks are up. NIO up to 42.90. That's looking good. Polestar up 3% to 14.37. That makes me very happy. Howard, I think it was, shared with us that they were on BBC's what's that car show? There the world's most famous, biggest car show. I can't think of the name right now. So that's good. I'm going to have to try and find a video of that. Palantir up to almost $21 here at 1.6% up. So that's good. That's giving us some support levels here. Market overall looking pretty green, pretty good, pretty happy. What's down? Opendoor, SoFi, and Snow. I think SoFi, people kind of bag it for the existing investors selling out. People seem to think that's dilution. It isn't. Also, those shares are underwritten at 21.60, I think, from memory. So they are going to get more than the market price, which is just bizarre. Top Gear, absolutely. Howard, thank you very much. 4 people shouted it. That's how big a show that is. Really, by far the biggest worldwide syndicated car show out there. Elon, I'm glad you could join the webinar. It was good fun over the weekend. I really enjoyed. We will do more. I might do some polls on what you are most interested in, or feel free to shout it out in the chat. You can inspire me because I want to cover also what you want to learn and what you find most interesting, and that makes it more fun for everybody as well. F8 says, are you buying more PayPal? Yep. I can't help myself. It's part of my required purchasing every single month. I can't help it. So which arm have you broken? Okay. Philip has a nice, there's a nice Danish phrase apparently, tossetimen, meaning crazy hours. It's the first hour of trading. So yeah, I think that TAL and Xpang will probably come down a bit from these crazy levels. 2016, Loimov, you are saying a stock buyback. What's a stock buyback? It means where the company buys its own stocks. It's the opposite of dilution. They reduce the number of shares. So they basically say, we want to return these funds to investors. So they don't do dividend. They just buy back the stocks. It tends to be more tax advantageous for everybody involved to buy back stocks rather than to pay dividends. So basically, there are less stocks out there, and therefore the value of your shares will go up. So you'll own a little bit more of that company after the buyback than you did before. TC is throwing out GGPI, which is indeed, what happened to it? It was up. Here it is. It is still up. 1.9%, 1421. You want me to talk about spreads in the next webinar? Yeah. You know, that video I did with Marcel, I don't know if you caught that. Where is it? Oh, it's on Marcel's channel. Dongxi, Marcel, the lovely chap who covers tons of NIO. We actually talked a little bit about credit spreads there. So you might want to watch that. We talked about options. So have a look at that one. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Thank you. Andy wants to talk about NIO. Is it NIO IV you want to look at? Implied volatility? Craig, percentage-wise. Oh, okay. NIO historical percentage. So there are 2 ways of finding out the historic IV of a stock. One is the kind of, simple route, and that's to look at the chart and then pull up historical volatility. Most charts will give you this. And what you do then is you draw a line through where it is right now. So you can see right there, that's where the blue line is. You put a line there, and then you go back in time as far as possible, and you judge with your eyes whether or not volatility is high or low compared to historic performance. And I think most of you would agree with me here that it's rather lower than it was most of the time. So there is this whole big period here where volatility was higher. So it's basically come down a lot. That's one way of doing it. If you want to be a little bit more smart about it, then use Google. So use IV percent NIO, type that in. And Market Chameleon is my favorite go-to website for that, and it tells you what that is, and it says it's 48%. So it's gone up. It's gone up about 10% in the last day or so, but it's still below its halfway point. So when you're selling options, you want super high volatility because it those options benefit from falling volatility. Whereas here you're in the middle, 50-50 chance of it going up or down. So not the greatest time to be doing options trades on that particular stock. And Craig, is your spot on here about the buybacks? And lesson learned, never fall in love with a stock. Very true. That's why I don't like this whole, it's by conviction hold. It depends on what they do. Yeah, there are some companies that I think are marvelous, but if they do something really idiotic, then they are no longer marvelous. So it's not a religion. You don't have to be in it forever. You can change religions too, by the way, but few people ever do. But I guess we're going to get into a bit of a controversial hot waters there with that. Now, if you haven't already, check out felixfriends.org/top16. Download those top 16 growth stocks on Macquarie Investment Bank I used to work for a little while. And it's an interesting list. It's an interesting benchmark. And see up here, it's Black Friday. So our bundles are on Black Friday sale, 50% off. That won't happen again for another year. So think about that. Have a look at whether that's something you may wish to do, which is improving your financial education. All of the courses and bundles are, as always, risk-free. All I ask is that you actually take them. And then if you take them and you didn't get the value out of it, you get your money back within 90 days. And Roy says, destroy the like button. Yes, please. I appreciate that. I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much. We are rallying towards 30,000 subscribers on this channel, so come and join us. And I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a beautiful trading day.